It is disturbing beyond belief to imagine the possibility of this time right now that we're getting closer and closer and closer and closer, inch by inch, to the possibility of nuclear annihilation. And the fact that no one, hardly anybody, is speaking out and confronting and trying to de-escalate the situation is gut-wrenchingly awful. It is revolting, and it is disturbing how far people will go to the point of eliminating all life on this planet for political reasons. It is downright disturbing. It is downright disgusting. And like I said, very few individuals, very, very, very few individuals are willing to call this out. And the people that we thought were going to call this out, who ran campaigns on about this and were trusted not to bring us to the brink of a nuclear annihilation, to a point of nuclear war, has completely failed us, has completely become silent. So we showed you this before, but I want to bring this up again, of AOC, for example. Now, we were told when she campaigned and when she brought on the ruckus and people, were championing her, I fell into that trap. I thought Bernie Sanders was the same way. He was going to, bring this revolution to the Democratic Party, turn this, bigoted war party, the duopoly of the military-industrial complex. He was going to shake things up. She was supposed to shake things up. Turns out they didn't. They became part of the party. They became part of the problem. They're now part of the establishment. They're now the, younger generation of establishment goons. And AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders, all these people that were deemed outsiders of the party have now become so woven into the corruption, into the establishment, that they have become part of it. They have become mutated into the evils of the Democratic Party and are now shaming the people that they're supposed to be representing. The people that are calling them out, saying, why aren't you not doing what you're campaigning? They're calling them out as bigots and violent thugs and racists and misogynists and every name of the book, because they're so deeply woven into the war machine. And AOC was called out about this. So we showed this before, but let me show this again.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because there are a bunch of war hawks, okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what.
So I don't know if you can hear what AOC is responding to this. They're making excellent points. God bless them. Brilliant. We need more people like this. This is the ruckus that AOC proclaimed we should be doing. This is the most American thing I have ever seen. This is the most patriotic thing you can imagine. When someone is confronting a corrupted politician and saying, why the fuck are you getting us to a nuclear war? That is the most patriotic American thing I've ever seen in my life. That someone's willing to call out politicians and say, you know what? I'm bringing on the ruckus. Screw your nonsense. Screw your bullshit. Screw your niceness. I'm gonna call you out and tell you why the hell you're not doing your job to de-escalate the situation. Why the hell are you voting our lives away? So kudos to them. AOC responds in the most cowardice way possible. Well, you got to step to the side, let people take a turn. You got to be nice. You got to be appropriate when you confront me like this. So she's worried about politeness. She's worried about the politeness. And the fact that you've just been called out, that you voted to continue to escalate Joe Biden's war machine and the escalation and the possibility of nuclear war. We were not ever supposed to reach this point. And it's a scary idea. It's a scary thought. I'm sure you have relatives and older generations probably remember the duck and cover thing. Procedures they had to do in school where they were supposed to hide under their desk during the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Cold War. The Hawaiian missile mistake that scared everybody in the island. That was chaotic. Like, it's unbelievable to imagine. It's unbelievable to imagine that we're coming to the point that this is going to be a possibility now. That we're having PSAs and having FDA drugs being hoarded up for radiation poisoning on the virtue that we're just going to have to accept nuclear war is going to happen. And nobody's de-escalating it. Nobody's calling to attention about it. Very, very few people are willing to call it out. Like Tulsi Gabbard, like me, like Jimmy Dore. Very few individuals.
What you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that? Yes or no? Okay, simple. Are you going to stop nuclear war? Yes or no? There is no line.
Sir, if you could just step into the line, sir, if you could just step into the line. I know you're calling me out, and I'm very confronted. I feel violated right now. I'm sure she's going to say something about violence in this. But, sir, you gotta step into line. You gotta be polite about it. I don't know how polite you have to be when there's a possibility of all life on Earth not existing. I don't know how polite you have to be when humanity is at stake for the entire planet based on the geopolitical structure and the war machine putting us into nuclear annihilation. I don't know how polite you can be. Oh, pretty please with a cherry on top. Let us live for another few years. You goddamn coward. Oh, please step into line and say politely. Holy crap. That's AOC's response to it. AOC that, again, campaigned on bringing on the ruckus. Here's the ruckus right in front of her. It's now confronted to her, and now she's saying it's rude. It's rude to bring the ruckus. And let's just remind people, every House Democrat, including her, including the squad, including Bernie, every House Democrat just voted to draw U.S. deeper into the war in Ukraine. Every House Democrat, almost every Democratic senator voted along with this. You know who didn't vote for nuclear war? Surprisingly, only 57 Republicans. 57 Republicans said no to this. Said that this is unbelievably out of control. But every single member of the Democratic establishment voted along with this. And if you didn't go along with this, they would call you a Putin puppet. They would call you a war criminal. They would call you a Nazi. They would call you a racist, misogynist. Don't you care about the Ukrainian children? Don't you care about the innocent lives over there? Don't you care about the faith of our planet that evil Russia's doing? Don't you care? You must be a Trumper. You must be a MAGA person. Well, we're not going to have any worries about that when everything is destroyed. When everything is destroyed and your cowardice, AOC, your silence is not helping. Your silence, your cowardice, your inability to bring on the ruckus, which you campaigned on, you got into office for it, is completely allowing this to happen. You're basically paving the road for destruction. You, Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, all of these people that were supposed to bring on the ruckus, that was supposed to stop the war machine, that was supposed to call people out. Bernie Sanders, remember when he was in Senate? He had all those charts about the Iraq war and Afghanistan, the chaos over there. What happened? What happened? Oh, because Trump got into office, now all of a sudden war is okay? Or because you're such a establishment goon that you're hiding and cowardly, you're hiding behind the front of the Democratic establishment instead of being a true hero, instead of being a politician for the people. Utterly disgusting. Utterly. Such disgust. It is revolting. Utterly revolting. Which leads me to this. Because this is another revolting point of this. So, AOC responded to the protesters in what appears to be an Instagram feed. I love how these squad members, they can't call to action when they're confronted in front of people, but they could sure write up a whole paragraph on Instagram. They could sure do a live feed. They could sure do all this stuff, but when it actually is responding to a person directly, they got nothing. All they got is hiding behind the curtains and telling people you're being rude. Go sit in the corner. Go line up. Then we'll get to you, maybe. But here's what. So, Aaron Monte tweeted this out and says, AOC accuses her anti-war protesters of parroting pro-Putin talking points. That's a response to it. That someone calling for de-escalation of the possibility of nuclear war is apparently pushing pro-Putin talking points. That's all the Democratic establishment has. Because they are full forced into the annihilation of this planet because they have nothing for you. They have no ways to solve problems. They have no ways to comprehend what's actually happening in the United States of America. So what are they going to do? They're going to blow up the planet. Then all their problems will be solved because there would be no life on Earth. They're not giving you minimum wage or increase. They're not giving you a living wage. They're not giving you health benefits. They're not giving you health care. They're not giving you education. They're not helping your infrastructure. They're not ending the wars. They're not doing anything. Anything. Not giving you student debt relief. Not getting you jack shit. But they're going to bring us to the brink of nuclear war because they can't solve any problems. They can't govern. They can't do anything to represent the people. So they rather just kill off the planet. Kill everybody off. She has nothing to say about Biden's rejection or of diplomacy, nor explain how the squad approved billions of dollars in weapons will help end the war. She instead invokes Ukraine's self-determination. Yes, the classic American trope. Let the country figure out for himself. But if the country goes in a direction America doesn't like, America has to step in and fix the problem. Just like they did with Cuba, just like they did with Venezuela, just like they've done with every country. Every single country the United States reports on. Oh, we gotta let this country determine the fate of democracy for themselves. Oh, they're not doing democracy correctly? Oh, we gotta step in. We gotta step in. We gotta overthrow their democratically elected government. We gotta throw in a dictator, right-winger, whatever. Someone who's going to extract all the resources, give it to private corporations, globalize all the efforts, screw all the people, and make life even shittier. That's the self-determination from the United States government. That's the self-determination that the war empire infuses onto the rest of the world. The self-determination of the Ukrainian government. You realize the Ukrainian government was installed by us in 2014. We overthrow the democratically elected government in Ukraine to install this Nazi regime in the first place. That every single publication knew about, but we still continued onto this war. So here's what AOC actually said in this. And I'm just going to enlarge and make it bigger here. So someone asked the question on her Instagram. It says, can you speak on being confronted by anti-war protesters? She says, sure. They were actually not anti-war protesters. Unless this is some sort of Jedi mind trick, like these aren't the droids you're looking for, I'm pretty sure they were calling out the war. They mentioned that they don't want to go into nuclear war, that there was going to be nothing left. There were no neighbors, no people, no nothing. None of this matters if we don't survive. I'm pretty sure that's an anti-war protester. AOC. But how would you know, being, cowardly behind the curtain and not actually doing your job correctly? They were right-wing Trumpers, and some were loud cult members. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Not progressives as they claimed. Their own social media history shows this. So they went through their social media history. Instead of actually de-escalating nuclear war, they're going to go through individuals' social media history to call out people that are trying to de-escalate nuclear war. Do you see the mindset of these people? How nefarious, how psychopathic it all is? It is unbelievably insane. Unbelievably insane that someone who is currently in office right now would rather go through individual social media accounts than actually doing her job to try to give peace a chance. It was a stunt that they did from time to time. Last time they showed up at the town hall yelling about eating babies or something. Yeah, and how, again, you knew that was an actual stunt. This is someone actually calling out and trying to de-escalate nuclear war. It's a thing they do to go viral and draw in people. Yeah, it's going to draw in people. It's going to draw in people that want to live and survive and just want to live a normal fucking happy life. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, stuff that our founding fathers and mothers and younger and generations before us want to pursue on us and for future generations, stuff like that. Yeah, it's just going to go viral and draw people in. Yeah, you think? People wanting peace? This time they were parroting pro-Putin talking points. This is not anti-war to support Russia's imperialistic project to invade and seize neighboring countries either. And yet, your party, and including you, have also infused this for the American imperialistic system. You're using the American imperialistic system to advance warfare, and then saying that other people denouncing that is pushing for the Russian imperialistic system. It shows how stupid this all is. It really shows how stupid this is. And that AOC has no idea. No goddamn idea. Again, if you take 2 seconds out of your day, look at the history of Ukraine. Look at the lineup from 2014 to this exact moment. Just in the last few years, you could see the buildup, the escalation, the fact that we were the ones that poked the bear. We're the aggressors. We're the ones that are causing the most terror around the world. The Western Hemisphere. Not Russia, not China, not Middle Eastern countries, not South America. We're the aggressors. We're the ones that infuse war onto other countries. Ukraine, like other nations, has the right to self-determination. The only person instigating threats of nuclear weapons is Putin, no one else. So the United States doesn't have weapons? The United States that literally you called out, again, you campaigned on the fact that we need to end the wars before it goes to nuclear assault. But now you're saying, oh, the United States has no nuclear weapons. As far as their comments about Tulsi Gabbard has voted for more defense budget increases than I ever had. 0. I beg to differ. So she's basically saying that because she's the newcomer, she's the new girl, oh, I got a clean slate. No, here's the difference. Here's the difference. Tulsi Gabbard is an active soldier. Tulsi Gabbard has seen the front lines of war. Tulsi Gabbard knows what implications are involved in the idea, in the threat of nuclear warfare. You don't. You don't. And she called out the Democratic Party. She left the Democratic Party. She has called out on national television the thought of nuclear warfare in the regards of the Democratic Party. You haven't done any of that, AOC. You haven't done any of that. You cozied up to Mama Bear and voted right beside her. You sidestepped her every single point in time. You become her shadow, for God's sakes. Happy to dig more into Ukraine in other posts. A lot of these right-wing video and social media stunts are predicated on people not knowing the context and just believing whatever the person is saying for face value. Isn't that what you're doing? Isn't that exactly what you're doing? You're voting with the Democratic establishment to side with the Democratic establishment because Trump, because Putin, because Russia, because the Republicans. You're doing everything to sidestep along with the Democratic Party because you are a career climber and you want to cozy up to the Democratic establishment, the same Democratic establishment that you railed against, you campaigned on, and you got into office to bring on the ruckus. And now you're saying the ruckus is rude. Now you're saying the ruckus is violence. Now you're saying that everything you campaigned on is a complete joke, which is why you're a joke, AOC, which is why you, the rest of the squad, the fraud squad, Bernie Sanders, you're all complete jokes. You're cowardly cucks of the Democratic establishment, and goddamn you. Because your silence is paving the way for this destruction. And all you can do is cry to the and cry out the other party. All you can do is do these identity bullshit tactics of calling people misogynists and racists and bigoted, and they're rude and they're violent and crazy for calling out the truth, for trying to de-escalate a situation that you caused. Utterly ridiculous. For example, in the video, they cut out the part where they waited to yell until a deaf constituent was trying to ask a question so it would look like everyone was mad at their words, instead the fact that everyone was harming a person with a disability. Oh. My God. I can't. This is AOC topping AOC. So now she's bringing in a person with a disability into this fight. A fight that's only including her and the protesters. Now she's bringing in this random person who's deaf. You're throwing them under the bus saying, hey, be nice. This person has a disability. You can't call out nuclear war when this guy is deaf. This is an utter disgrace. This is such an utter disgrace. And as Blue Check Beth tweets out, AOC told us we need to make the powerful uncomfortable, that we need to bring the ruckus. We brought the ruckus. She called it violence. So we're doing exactly what AOC wanted us to do. And what made AOC popular. And what made her get elected. She campaigned on stuff like this. People were happy and thrilled for people like this. I was happy. When the squad was first introduced and Bernie Sanders was going to bring on the revolution, Tulsi Gabbard was thrown into those, like, they were supposed to bring on the ruckus. I was proud. I was championing them. I was enthused by it because somewhere out there, God forbid, something was going to happen. Things are actually going to change for the better. And now people that are trying to bring the ruckus and bring change are now being called violent. Why? Because AOC is now the powerful. AOC has become the thing that she wanted to rail against. And now she's becoming uncomfortable. It's uncomfy now. Because you're not being nice. You're not getting to line. You're not asking the right questions. Maybe you say pretty please and thank you. Don't forget your manners, sir. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I just want to show this before we end off the video here. I want to show what an actual politician says about de-escalation of nuclear war. This is JFK. This is his moment of peace. He did a speech during the Cuban Missile Crisis, during the possibility of a nuclear threat with the United States and Cuba. And JFK, even Ronald Reagan, even Jimmy Carter have found ways to incorporate and try to de-escalate situations. And it's moments like these where you can see the vast difference of what the establishment is today versus back when the Democratic Party was, you know, the party of Martin Luther King, the party of JFK, the party of inclusiveness and integrity and love, and, you know, all the Woodstock people that were supposed to be credited hippies. Now those same hippies are vouching for nuclear war. They've done a complete 180. Why was Vietnam such a bad thing, but going to war with Russia that can annihilate the entire planet is somehow good? Someone explain that to me. But anyway, here's JFK in his speech about peace. That's really, really incredible. And where I wish more and more politicians, more and more today's people were speaking out like this. Because, like I said, there's only very few people in the world that are calling this out, that are trying to de-escalate, that are trying to bring awareness to the jeopardization of humanity. And it's utterly sad and revolting. But take a listen to this.
And above all, while defending our own vital interests, nuclear powers must avert those confrontations which bring an adversary to a choice of either a humiliating retreat or a nuclear war. To adopt that kind of course in the nuclear age would be evidence only of the bankruptcy of our policy or of a collective death wish. And above all...
So he called the possibility of nuclear war a collective death wish. And that is the Democratic Party and majority of Republicans, sadly, are for. And that's not just in America, but all around the world. Because European nations are aligning themselves with this. Canadian Parliament. I haven't seen one Canadian politician willing to denounce nuclear war. They're still saying that Russia is a threat. They're still saying that we need to do everything that we can. We need to build up our military. We need to align ourselves more with NATO to go against Russia. But nobody is really willing to call this out and say enough is enough. That the brink of nuclear war is a collective death wish and is going to jeopardize all of humanity to the point of non-existence on this planet. And if people are worried about what climate change is going to do to us, climate change is nothing compared to the possibility of nuclear winters. To the possibility of radiation in our farm fields. To the point that we do not exist. We are blown off the face of the earth. Because these politicians, because of globalist leaders, that rather have a death wish, a sociopathic death wish, to kill us all, rather than trying to collectively solve problems together and bring humanity back to peace and justice, is just downright revolting. And AOC, who is being the most silent about it, same with Bernie Sanders, same with the rest of the squad, it is utterly disgusting. It is utterly disgusting, and they're just paving the way for more of this to happen. that the Joe Biden administration, that Demented Joe and Cackle Harris are going to bring us to the point of life as we know on this planet to not exist. And it's utterly sad. It's revolting. It's devastating. I have made, comment after comment. I have urged people to take note of this, take awareness of this, and spread this word around. That this is no longer just a sci-fi, fantasy. This is no longer just a thing in a blockbuster movie. This is not just a fable that your parents and grandparents used to say when they were in school. This is now a possibility. PSAs are being shown in New York City of how to treat yourself after a nuclear bomb explosion. And people have seen Chernobyl. Now imagine Chernobyl on a global scale. That's why we need to de-escalate. That's why those two individuals that were apparently rude for interrupting a deaf person, which I don't know why that deaf person got thrown into this fight. That just shows how cowardly you are. But those two individuals are the most patriotic people I can imagine. And if I was there right now, I'd be giving them a hug, a handshake, and thanking them for their courage. We need more people like that, and less AOCs.